12 R&B groups. Every single one of them, you know every word to. They soundtracked every family reunion, every house party, every slow dance you've ever had. And every single one of them broke up right after their biggest hit peaked. Not years later when the money dried up or the tours ended. Right then, at the top, when the world finally knew their names. Some couldn't handle what success exposed about who they really were. Others got torn apart by tragedy that was already waiting in the wings. A few just walked away from everything they'd built because staying meant losing themselves. And the reasons why will change how you hear these songs forever. Because behind every anthem you've danced to is a group of people who couldn't survive what that anthem did to them. Number 12, Heatwave, Boogie Nights, 1977. An international collision of funk and disco that hit number 2 and should have been the beginning of everything. But tragedy was already circling before the first note was even recorded. Guitarist Jesse Witten stabbed to death in Chicago before they even entered the studio. Replaced? Mourned. And the sessions continued because the music industry doesn't stop for grief. Then 1978 arrives, and bassist Mario Mantis attends a party at Elton John's house. His girlfriend leaves early. When he gets home, she's furious about something that happened there and stabs him in the heart. Clinically dead for several minutes. Wakes from a coma months later, blind, mute, paralyzed from head to toe with no memory of why. Then 1979, and lead singer Johnny Wilder is in a car accident that leaves him paralyzed from the neck down. If you've ever watched something you built with your closest friends get systematically destroyed by forces nobody could control, you know that's the kind of heartbreak that doesn't have a name. Heatwave kept recording with Johnny producing from a wheelchair, kept touring with replacement singers. But by the late 80s, the original lineup was scattered across continents and hospital rooms. And the funk disco dream that brought Americans and Brits and a Swiss bassist and a Czech drummer together in London nightclubs had dissolved into memory and lawsuits and the particular silence that comes after the music stops. Number 11, Con Funk Shun, Fun, 1977.
Are y'all ready? All right.
7 childhood friends from Vallejo, spelling their number 1 R&B hit with 2 Fs because they were that confident. That's certain they'd created something the world needed to remember. Michael Cooper and Felton Pilot leading vocals, Lewis McCall on drums, and 5 more brothers who'd been playing together since high school, building an empire one gold record at a time through the late 70s and early 80s. 11 albums in 10 years. And every black cookout from 1978 to 1985 had at least one Con Funk Shun song. But by the mid-80s, the tension that success breeds starts tightening around the friendship that created the music. Michael and Felton clashing with Lewis about money and credit and whose vision matters most. And in 1986, it gets physical. Actual fists, actual rage. And Felton leaves immediately, with Michael following him out the door. Because when you have to choose between your art and your friendships, sometimes you can't choose at all. The remaining members tried to continue with new singers, but it's not Con Funk Shun without the brothers. And by 1987, the group that spent a decade proving loyalty could survive anything discovers that loyalty gets tested most when the stakes are highest. And sometimes it just breaks. Real talk. Only 9% of you watching this are actually subscribed. That hurts a little, not gonna lie. We spend hours digging through archives, fact-checking every detail, bringing these stories back to life because this music deserves to be remembered. And you're here because you care about that too. So if these videos mean something to you, if you've ever said, "Damn, I didn't know that," or felt something while watching, just hit subscribe. It's free, takes 2 seconds, and it tells YouTube to show this to more people who love this music like we do. Let's build this together. All right, back to the story. Number 10, Switch. There'll Never Be, 1978.
For the first time.
Bobby DeBarge's falsetto reaching number 6 R&B and 36 pop. A sound so pure it made Motown executives believe they'd found the next generation. But Bobby was already fighting heroin and losing before the gold records started stacking up. 4 gold albums by 1980, and Bobby's addiction creating unbearable tension in every studio session and tour bus and hotel room. Lead singer Philip Ingram leaving first because he can't watch it anymore. And then, in 1981, Bobby and his brother Tommy suddenly exit, not to get clean, but to mentor their younger siblings, Bunny, Elle, Randy, and Mark, creating DeBarge while Switch crumbles behind them. You know that feeling when you finally make it, but the cost is higher than you expected, and you realize success was never the point? Survival was. Switch tries to continue with new members. One forgettable album in 1984. But without the DeBarge brothers, it's just a name and some instruments and the ghost of what used to be. Bobby helps create his siblings' success while his own career dissolves into needle tracks and promises he can't keep. Dies of AIDS complications in 1995 at 39. Sometimes the music is all you have left. And sometimes it's not enough. And sometimes you give it to the people you love most because that's the only legacy that matters. Number 9, Shalamar. The Second Time Around, 1979. Three fashion icons who introduced body popping to the UK and had Jeffrey Daniel performing the backslide on British television almost a year before Michael Jackson moonwalked on Motown 25. Platinum albums and international tours in MTV heavy rotation because they weren't just singers, they were a movement. But Dick Griffey at Solar Records wasn't paying them properly. Royalties disappearing into accounting tricks and promises. Tensions building through every success until 1983, when they're filming the video for a hit single. Jody Watley and Howard Hewitt have a falling out so severe that she uses a body double for most of the shoot.
I really love you.
Once filming wrapped, she's done. Walking away from platinum and magazine covers and everything they built together. Because if you've ever realized the people controlling your success don't actually value you, you know that's when you have to leave, even if it costs you everything. Jeffrey Daniel exits around the same time, and the group that taught Michael Jackson to moonwalk breaks up at their creative peak.
Say it again.
Jody goes solo, spinning off 3 top 10 hits and proving she made the right call. But the original Shalamar, the one that changed dance music forever, ends in a video shoot with a body double and lawyers and the particular kind of betrayal that comes when art becomes commerce and nobody remembers why you started in the first place. Number 8, Atlantic Starr. Always, 1987. A wedding ballad hitting number 1 pop, number 1 R&B, and number 1 adult contemporary. The Lewis brothers, David and Wayne and Jonathan, finally getting their crossover moment with Barbara Weathers on lead vocals. And Barbara and Wayne are engaged to be married. The future should be unlimited. But success exposes everything. Arguments about royalties surface like poison water. Wayne and Barbara, who are supposed to be building a life together, now fighting about money and credit. And who deserves what percentage? The engagement crumbling under the weight of questions they should have answered before the song peaked. By 1988, Barbara quits entirely. Because that's a different kind of heartbreak when the person you're building with becomes the person you're fighting with, and you can't tell anymore where the love ends and the business begins. Atlantic Starr continues with a revolving door of female singers trying to recapture something that was never about technique. 5 more albums that never touch what they had, until David Lewis leaves in 1997 to pursue Christian ministry. Because sometimes you have to walk away from everything you built to remember who you were before the building started. The group that sang about eternal love couldn't keep their own family together. And if you've ever watched success expose the cracks in a relationship you thought was solid, you know exactly how that feels. Number 7. DeBarge, Rhythm of the Night, 1985. A song hitting number 3 pop and number 1 R&B from the Last Dragon soundtrack. DeBarge's falsetto everywhere on MTV and radio, and Motown seeing them as the next Jackson 5. But here's what nobody knew. While that song was climbing the charts, most of the group was already gone. Bunny, Randy, Mark, James, all addicted to cocaine and heroin. Too drug-addled to participate in recording sessions. Forgetting the words. So DeBarge recorded the entire album essentially by himself, while Motown executives pretended not to notice, because the single was a smash and gold records don't care about family dysfunction. The album goes gold. The single becomes eternal. And the group doesn't really exist anymore except on paper and in L's desperate attempts to hold together something that was already destroyed. By 1986, L threatens to go solo if his siblings don't get clean. They don't. DeBarge is over. And if you've ever had to choose between enabling someone you love and saving yourself, you know that's an impossible decision that haunts you regardless of what you choose. L went solo, had some success, then fell into his own addiction by the late 80s. Because sometimes you run from the fire only to find it waiting for you, patient and certain as gravity. Number 6. Bloodstone, Natural High, 1973.
All the time, and I don't even.
A Kansas City group blending Jimi Hendrix-style rock with doo-wop and gospel. Pioneers of black rock, hitting number 10 R&B and number 44 pop with a gold album and tours with Marvin Gaye and Curtis Mayfield. But in July 1973, the same year their biggest hit peaks, percussionist Roger Durham dies of kidney failure and liver complications at 27 years old. The group keeps going because that's what you do when you fought this hard to make it. More hits through the 70s while the original lineup starts disappearing one member at a time. Melvin Webb in 1982. Willis Draffin in 2002. Charles Love in 2014. Charles McCormick in 2022. Harry Williams at age 80 in 2024. The last original member finally gone. You know what's worse than a group breaking up? Watching them disappear slowly over 51 years, each loss taking a piece of the sound with it, until what's left is just echoes, and the particular loneliness of being the last one who remembers how it started. Bloodstone never officially disbanded. They just faded one funeral at a time.
My heart skips a.
And if you've ever lost people slowly, piece by piece, knowing each goodbye is permanent and the next one is inevitable, you know that's the cruelest kind of ending. Because it never really ends. It just keeps subtracting until nothing's left but the songs and the memory of when everyone who made them was still alive. Number 5. Lakeside, Fantastic Voyage, 1980.
Come on, yo, get on.
a Dayton, Ohio funk group hitting #1 R&B with a song that becomes a permanent fixture on every summer playlist for the next 4 decades. 9 original members who'd been together since 1969, building something that felt unbreakable. Self-contained band, writing their own songs and co-producing their albums. Exactly what they demanded when Dick Griffey signed them to Solar Records. And the success of Fantastic Voyage should have cemented them as funk royalty alongside Earth, Wind and Fire, and Cool and the Gang. But success breeds expectation, and expectation breeds pressure. And by the mid-'80s, when New Jack Swing starts taking over the airwaves, Lakeside's funk sound suddenly feels dated to executives who only care about what's next. Their 1987 single becomes their last major hit, and the members start drifting towards solo projects and session work, and the particular exhaustion that comes from fighting to stay relevant when the industry has already moved on. The group never officially breaks up, but the original lineup gradually dissolves into nostalgia tours and oldies circuits.
Come on and ride on the funky.
And if you've ever built something beautiful with your friends only to watch the world lose interest before you were ready to let it go, you know that's not quite heartbreak. It's something slower and more permanent, like watching the tide carry away something you spent years building on the beach. Number 4, LTD. Back in Love Again, 1977. A #1 R&B smash and #4 pop that brought Jeffrey Osborne's rich baritone to the world. And for 3 years, LTD rode that voice to gold albums and sold-out tours and a permanent place in black music history.
Excuse me, I'm only human.
The 10-piece self-contained band from Greensboro had been grinding since the early 70s, backing Sam and Dave before finding their own sound. And by 1977, they'd perfected the blend of funk workouts and romantic ballads that made them essential to every playlist. But Jeffrey Osborne's voice was the secret ingredient. That warm, conversational tone that could make you cry on a ballad and move your hips on an up-tempo track. And by 1980, after the Shine On album, Jeffrey knows he's outgrown being one voice in a 10-piece band.
Every time I turn around, I'm back in love.
He and his brother Billy both leave to pursue solo careers, taking with them the exact quality that made LTD special in the first place. And if you've ever felt yourself becoming too big for the container that shaped you, you know that leaving isn't betrayal, it's survival. The remaining members bring in new vocalists Andre Ray and Leslie Wilson, squeeze out a couple more albums with modest success. But without the Osborne brothers, it's just good musicians playing good songs. And that's never been enough when the world remembers what magic used to live there. Number 3, Royce, Car Wash, 1976.
You made this song #1 for Royce. Let me see your hands together.
A #1 pop smash and Grammy-winning soundtrack that introduced Gwen Dickey's sultry voice to the world. Norman Whitfield's latest creation, hitting bigger than anyone expected. Because that's what happens when you combine a self-contained funk band with a singer who can make even a song about washing cars sound sexy. The Los Angeles group had been together since the early 70s as Total Concept Unlimited, then Magic Wand, before Whitfield renamed them Royce and put Gwen front and center for the Car Wash movie soundtrack. 3 more top 10 R&B hits followed. I Wanna Get Next to You, I'm Going Down, Wishing on a Star. And Gwen Dickey was everywhere, the voice of sophisticated mid-70s soul. But Whitfield was a taskmaster who kept them in the studio for days at a time, fun 24-hour sessions that destroyed marriages and friendships. And Gwen was the one getting all the attention from journalists while the band members felt invisible. resentment building with every interview that focused on her and ignored the 9 musicians who created the grooves. By April 1980, after 4 years of mounting tension, Gwen walks away from Royce entirely. Because you can't keep singing about love when the people you're singing with resent everything you've become. The group continues with replacement singers but never recaptures what they had. And that's the thing about being the voice. When you leave, you take the sound with you, and everyone knows it. Number 2, Slave. Slide, 1977.
I ain't gonna bite you. I just want you to.
A number 1 R&B smash built on Mark Adams's slithering bass line and raw Dayton funk, launching Slave into the upper echelon of 70s funk bands alongside Parliament and the Ohio Players. The original lineup was pure Ohio funk. Horns, percussion, relentless rhythm. But in 1978, Steve Arrington joined as drummer and quickly became the group's voice. That distinctive melodic style that made Just a Touch of Love, Watching You, and Snapshot into classics. Arrington wasn't trying to sound like anyone else. He'd studied with Pete Escovedo and Sheila E., played fusion jazz with the greats. And when he brought that sensibility to Slave's raw funk, something magical happened that pushed them to new commercial heights. But by 1982, after the Showtime album, Arrington realizes he's pouring everything into a band where he's still technically just an employee, where the music industry is taking the money, his money too, and the creative vision he's developing doesn't fit Slave's direction anymore. He leaves to form Steve Arrington's Hall of Fame, taking with him the melodic sensibility that had defined Slave's most successful era. And if you've ever built something beautiful inside someone else's structure and realized you needed your own foundation, you know that's when you have to risk everything and walk away. Slave continues recording into the mid-90s with revolving members and diminishing returns, chasing a sound that left when Arrington did.
Won't you come away?
Number 1, Tavares. Heaven Must Be Missing an Angel, 1976. Five Cape Verdean American brothers from Providence and New Bedford who've been performing together since 1959 as Chubby and the Turnpikes, harmonizing at family gatherings and high school talent shows until they became Tavares in 1973 and started stacking hits on Capitol Records. Number 15, pop with Heaven Must Be Missing an Angel in 1976. Then Don't Take Away the Music. Then winning a Grammy for More Than a Woman on the Saturday Night Fever soundtrack that sold 11 million copies worldwide. And for a brief moment, the Tavares brothers were everywhere. Soul Train, American Bandstand, international tours. The family band that proved blood harmony was unbeatable. But what Saturday Night Fever gave them in exposure, it took away in identity. Because suddenly they were disco when they'd always been R&B. And when disco crashed at the turn of the decade, it took Tavares' commercial momentum with it. The brothers kept recording through the 80s, but the hits dried up, radio moved on, and the original lineup that started in 1959 began its long, slow dissolution. Pooch had a stroke in 2014. Ralph died 2 days before his 80th birthday in 2021. Pooch passed at 81 in 2024. And just last month, Chubby died at 81, leaving only Butch and Tiny from the original 5. They never officially broke up, just slowly disappeared, one brother at a time over 6 decades. And that's somehow sadder than any dramatic split could ever be. Watching a family group dissolve through the simple arithmetic of mortality. Each funeral subtracting another fifth of the harmony until you're left wondering if the last man standing still hears his brothers when he closes his eyes. still feels them in the spaces between the notes where they used to be.